Hey guys, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be going through and predicting the overall ratings for all of the Reading FC players in FIFA 21. So we're going to start with the current players that were in FIFA 20 first, and then we're going to go on, and then we're going to essentially make the cards that will be in 21. For example, Aruna, he's not in. McIntyre doesn't have his Ultimate Team card either, so we're going to create those at the end. So I apologise if I don't include them in this current go-through. Alrighty, so first up we have Raphael. He has had a very, very good year at Reading. He has been in Teams of the Week quite a few times. However, I feel like because he's a 74 rated at the moment, and it's quite rare to get a gold card within the championship, especially at Reading sort of level, I have a feeling that he will probably stay as a 74 rated. I cannot see his rating going up or down. I personally think that he is better than a 74 rated, but I don't think that because of the algorithm that FIFA use, I don't think that his overall rating will change at all. So we're going to go from left to right. We're going to start with Omar Richards. I imagine that Richards will probably stay either very similar, so around a 66. But, I mean, it could go either way. I think he's had a decent season. However, I think that because of the addition of Jordan Abita towards the end of the season, and him being played more often, I think he's less likely to get an upgrade. He will probably stay around about the same. Liam Moore, I can imagine staying probably around the same as well. He hasn't had the best year at Reading. My personal opinion is that, in all honesty, we might want to cash in on him, potentially try and invest some money into the rest of the squad. I know that he is on a high wage, and I know that we would probably be able to resolve a few of the financial issues that we're experiencing at the moment at Reading. Sean Morrison, I can again imagine that he would probably stay around about the same rating as well. He's had a very decent year, very solid. If it's going to go anywhere, I would maybe say 72. I'd argue his pace will probably stay the same, but his physicality and defending stats would go up. Andy Yeardom, I think that he was due an upgrade had he not got injured towards the end of the season. However, I feel like because of his injury, he will again probably stay around about the same. I know I'm saying that about a lot of these players, but this is just generally what sort of happens. I think that the improvements will come, and the drastic changes in numbers will come later on. So we're going to start with Rinomota in the midfield. He has had a decent, solid year. I can potentially see him actually going up to a 70 overall rated. But again, it depends completely on the algorithm. I would like to see him upgraded, of course. I highly, highly rate this player, and it will be very, very interesting to see where he goes. John Swift, I would argue that he is one of the best players in the league. We're currently, as far as I know, we're trying to block a move for him. We see him as essentially being a very key member of this squad. So I can't really see him going anywhere, but I can see him getting an upgrade, potentially to a 74 rated, maybe even 75. But I think that he will probably be 74 and shiny, just like Ajaria is. We'll get over to Ajaria in a second. Josh Laurent, obviously, pretty much the main new signing. I can see him becoming 66 rated, something like that, purely because he's coming up the divisions. And nothing else really. I think that may essentially happen. I can't see his stats changing that much, but I can see his overall rating coming up just a little bit. Now, Ajaria, we haven't got the deal through just yet. Fingers crossed we actually managed to get that through. But I would imagine that essentially he would probably either remain a 72 or potentially go up to a 73 rated, I would argue. He's had a very good year, and yeah, again, one of the better players in our squad. So hopefully we can keep a hold of him, and I can see his overall rating jumping up. Another player whose overall rating I see jumping up quite a bit is Yaku Mete. Obviously scoring a hell of a lot of goals this season for a squad of ours, squad like ours. So I can actually potentially see him being shot up all the way to a 72 rated. You can also see as well here that his current positioning is a striker, and typically he plays that on the right wing, but he can play a striker as well. So I don't really know what positioning he will have in the next game. I imagine FIFA will keep it simple and they will have it exactly the same, but I can see his overall stats potentially improving. Another player whose stats I see improving is George Puskas. Obviously, he scored one of the quickest, if not the quickest, I believe, hat-trick ever scored in the Championship, and I believe one of the quickest scored in all of the top leagues around Europe this season, as far as I'm aware. So I can see him potentially going up to a 72 rated, and I'm really looking forward to see him kicking on this season and potentially doing very, very well. Now we're going to move on to the subs bench, and these are all the players that I've got included so far. So we obviously have George Walker. Jesus Christ. So obviously we have Walker. And so Walker, again, not really featured that much this season. I can just essentially see him staying as a 64 rated. Mark McNulty, he has had not the greatest loan move. I can actually see him being downgraded potentially to 67 or 66. He's just not really hit the ground running, and I just don't really see him having the best season in terms of upgrades and downgrades. The same could potentially be said for Sam Baldock, maybe even a 66 or 65 rating. He's come into the squad when needed, scored a couple of decent goals, but nothing really to change his overall rating in FIFA 21. The next player is Elise, who has, let's be honest, done incredibly well since coming into the first team. I can potentially see him being upgraded maybe to one of those 64 special cards. I think that would make the most sense for him. I think had he been featuring very prominently since the start of the season, then he would be a lot higher and potentially even have a bigger upgrade. But because he hasn't scored loads of goals or anything like that, I imagine that because of his introduction to the first team, he will get a slight upgrade, but nothing huge. Then we move on to Lucas João. I imagine that purely because of injuries and stuff like that, he will probably have his rating remain the same. I cannot really see anything else happening at the moment, but you never know with this card. I think it's a very, very gutting that he's been injured as often as he has been, because you can tell on his day he knows exactly where the back of the net is. As I'm going through this list from Jonathan Lowe, he has very kindly created this list, not for me, just in general. But he's created this list of current players who are at the club. So we are obviously missing McIntyre. Now, I can imagine McIntyre potentially being a very decent player, and I can imagine him probably being around the 68-69 centre-back rating. He's done a very, very good job coming into the squad. A lot of people sort of tipping their cap towards him as becoming potentially a future Reading captain, which I can also see as well, and I completely agree with. So I think that if he stays at the club, which I can't imagine him going anywhere at the moment, then he will probably do very, very well. One of the next players is Araruna, and I imagine him sort of being around a 66, 67 rating. Again, I think that you can't really tell with him, but you never know. Sonny Aluko, he can get lost as far as I'm concerned. I'm very, very surprised that he's still at the club. I think that essentially the reason why he's not been moved on is his huge, huge wages. But I presume he will probably be around about a 68, 69 rating, should he be included. Because he hasn't played that much, he might not be included in this game. You've also got East and Holsgrove. Nothing really of note here. I think that they will probably be around about like 60 to 64 rated. Potentially saying the same about Smith as well. And that's about it. You can see here that Jonathan hasn't included Ajaria because he's still a Liverpool player. But hopefully we get some confirmation on that soon. and we can see where we go with that. But obviously there is still a lot of room and still a lot of things that can happen in the transfer window. I really hope that we keep a hold of some of these players. However, there are quite a few still which I can see going, especially because of the financial issues that Reading are currently facing due to financial fair play. Personally, financial fair play I feel is quite crippling to some squads. It just essentially doesn't make sense with some aspects of it, but I won't get into that into this video. But that's probably about it, guys. I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be any huge drastic updates or changes to any of these cards. So let me know what you think about these ratings. Let me know whether or not you think they're too high, too low, whether or not you think my predictions are correct or wrong, and feel free to suggest your own ratings too, and yeah, have a little bit of a chat and we'll see exactly what you think. It'll be interesting to see these numbers, like I said, and yeah, hopefully we're not completely ruined and everyone gets downgraded. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and you us.